Imagine stumbling upon a body so brutally mutilated that it takes your breath away. Picture a city bathed in Hollywood glamour, only to have its darkest secret exposed in a vacant lot. On January 15th, 1947, Los Angeles awoke to a scene that would become the stuff of nightmares, and the case of Elizabeth Short, forever known as the Black Dahlia, would remain unsolved for decades. Today, I'm taking you back to post-war Tinseltown, where ambition met horror, and a legendary mystery was born. Elizabeth Short was born on July 29, 1924, in Hyde Park, Massachusetts, one of 5 daughters to Cleo and Phoebe Short. Her childhood was marked by upheaval. In 1929, her father vanished. His car found abandoned near the Charlestown Bridge, leading the family to believe he had died by suicide. Years later, he resurfaced alive in California, but the damage was done. Phoebe Short was left to raise 5 girls alone during the Great Depression. As a teenager, Elizabeth battled severe bronchitis and asthma, undergoing surgery to relieve her lungs. Doctors recommended a warmer climate, and in 1943 she relocated to Florida. By July 1946, she followed the lure of Hollywood to Los Angeles, though not necessarily to become a star, but perhaps to visit friends and escape her past hardships. Once in LA, Elizabeth worked odd jobs, sometimes as a waitress, sometimes answering phones, while shuttling between cheap hotels and boarding houses. Described as vivacious, dark-haired, and always dressed in black, she earned the nickname Black Dahlia, a playful nod to the 1946 film noir The Blue Dahlia. Friends and acquaintances recalled her ambition and vulnerability. She wanted a fresh start, a break into movies, but reality often intervened. On January 9th, 1947, Elizabeth spent the evening in San Diego with Robert "Red" Manley, a married salesman she'd recently met. He drove her back to Los Angeles that night and dropped her off at the Biltmore Hotel downtown, where she planned to meet her sister. That marked the last confirmed sighting of Elizabeth Short alive, in a vacant lot on Norton Avenue. She first thought she saw a discarded mannequin, but as she drew closer, horror struck. This was a human body, posed, naked, severed at the waist. Betty fled to a neighbour, calling the police, and the scene quickly drew a crowd of officers and reporters. The body lay with arms bent at right angles above the head, legs spread apart. There was no blood in the lot. Elizabeth's corpse had been cleanly drained and washed before being transported. Her face was slashed from ear to ear, forming a macabre Glasgow smile. Sections of flesh were missing, and her abdomen was nearly hollowed out. The precision of those cuts suggested surgical skill, or at least anatomical knowledge, within 56 minutes. The LAPD sent Elizabeth's fingerprints to the FBI via a sound photo fax. Because she'd been arrested in Santa Barbara in 1943 for underage drinking and had applied for a job at an Army base commissary, her prints were on file. Agents confirmed she was 22-year-old Elizabeth Short. The city that morning went from shock to obsession. The autopsy revealed the brutal details. Massive head trauma, likely caused by blunt force. The Glasgow smile incisions, and evidence of prolonged post-mortem cleaning. No DNA technology existed, and the absence of fingerprints or blood at the site left investigators grasping at limited leads. The surgeon in charge noted the apparent care taken to remove every trace of blood and tissue, indicating premeditation and possibly professional expertise. Los Angeles newspapers smelled a sensational story. The Examiner and the Times splashed shocking headlines across their front pages. Reporters coined Black Dahlia and latched on to every detail of Elizabeth's life. Her alleged nightclub visits, rumoured romances, and penchant for black attire. Some journalists even answered police tip lines and withheld crucial leads to protect their scoops. The ruthless press turned Elizabeth from a victim into a morbid celebrity. On January 24th, local papers received a letter and package allegedly from the killer. Inside were Elizabeth's birth certificate, photographs, business cards, and an address book. Items cleaned with gasoline to remove fingerprints. The letter, assembled from newspaper ad clippings, carried the chilling signature, "Heaven is here." The direct taunt deepened public terror and fueled police pressure. Over the years, more than 500 people confessed to killing the Black Dahlia, many lacking any connection to 1947. Officers chased hundreds of leads: students at USC Medical School, nightclub operators, and Elizabeth's acquaintances. None produced credible evidence. Sergeant John P. St. John lamented, "It's amazing how many people offer up a relative as the killer." As the last person known to see Elizabeth alive, Red Manley faced intense scrutiny. He admitted driving her back, but insisted on his innocence. He passed lie detector tests and provided plausible alibis, and police ultimately cleared him. Nevertheless, his name remains in every retelling. Dr. Hodel, a wealthy physician, first drew LAPD attention in 1949 after his daughter accused him of molestation. Though acquitted, later wiretap transcripts captured Hodel joking, "Supposing I did kill the Black Dahlia. They couldn't prove it now." His son, Steve Hodel, a retired LAPD detective, investigated and built a circumstantial case, pointing to photographic evidence and the infamous Soden house. Yet no formal charges were ever brought. Other notable suspects: Walter Bailey, a surgeon living a block from Norton Avenue, rumoured to suffer dementia. Leslie Dillon, mortician's assistant turned bellhop who knew unpublished crime details and contacted an LAPD psychiatrist. Orson Welles, a sensational theory by childhood friend Mary Passios, linked Welles via alibi questions and his magic act of sawing women in half, widely dismissed by experts. Some criminologists compare the Black Dahlia to the Cleveland torso murders of the 1930s, given the grotesque dismemberment. Others point to organized crime, corrupt police practices, or a cultish motive. Yet no DNA, no definitive witness, no smoking gun evidence ever surfaced. The Black Dahlia case inspired countless books, films, and documentaries, including James Ellroy's 1987 novel, The Black Dahlia, and Brian De Palma's 2006 adaptation. True crime podcasts and television specials continue to revisit the case, dissecting every clue and conspiracy. The mystery has become emblematic of Hollywood's dark underbelly. 77 years later, the Black Dahlia remains unsolved, a haunting reminder that some nightmares never end. Elizabeth Short's tragic death revealed the fine line between glamour and grotesquerie in post-war Los Angeles. Despite modern forensic advances, her killer may never be found, leaving her story etched forever in the annals of true crime. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Hollywood's most infamous cold case, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss an episode. In our next story, we'll explore the daring 1976 Lufthansa heist, millions stolen in broad daylight, and another mystery waiting to be unraveled. Until then, keep your eyes open and your ears ready